Hello dear friends, I am Amir Zamani, a lecturer in engineering and architectural software. I am very happy to be at your service. We want to work together on 3D software so that we can easily do engineering, architectural, and graphic work. The name of our group and channel is ArcFold. We teach 3D software for beginners, experts, and professionals for friends who are just starting out in the fields of architecture, animation, filmmaking, and special effects. If you are interested in design, game development, or even animation, be sure to learn 3ds Max. Of course, in the next courses, I will teach you Revit, SketchUp, AutoCAD, Rhino 3D, V-Ray, Lumion, Twinmotion, and D5 Render so that you can easily learn all the architectural software.
So let's start the training. Please note that our software version is from 2025. At the top of the screen in Max, we have a section called the menu bar. This section is the ribbon that contains the main menus such as File, Edit, Tools, and other options. Using these menus, we can access almost all of Max's important features and settings. For example, create a new file, save something, or change our scene settings. I will explain this in more detail below. Below the menu bar is another section called the main toolbar. This section is full of useful icons and buttons that give us quick access to many of the important Max commands. For example, we can use it to create objects, move them, rotate them, resize them, or even perform grouping and linking commands. Of course, this part of the main toolbar is different for my software and has additional options due to plugins that I installed separately. If you have just installed Max, it may not have this part. In the next tutorials, I will explain how to install this section. This section is also part of the main toolbar, but because the top part was getting too busy, I put it on the side of the page. This section is related to the V-Ray, Vantage, and Cosmos plugins, which are used for rendering and animation. At the bottom of the screen in Max, we have a section called the timeline. This section is actually the time bar that we use to create animations. With the timeline, we can see different frames, control the time our objects move, and set animation keys, or keyframes. This section also contains tools related to creating animations, controlling motion, and controlling the timeline, which we will discuss in detail in future tutorials. Here, at the bottom right of the screen, we have a series of icons related to viewport navigation. This part at the bottom of the timeline is the status bar. Here it shows detailed information about the position of our objects. For example, we can see the X, Y, and Z values of the object's position, which means where exactly the object is in the scene. Next to it we have an option called Grid, which shows the size of our grid. That Enabled button is also for enabling or disabling auto-smoothing or special modes. On the right side of the screen, we have something called the Command Panel. This is one of the most important parts of 3ds Max because most of the main tasks, like creating, editing, and adjusting objects, happen right here. Right now, we're inside the Create tab, which is where we build our objects. At the top, we can choose the type of object we want to make, for example, standard primitives, which includes basic shapes like box, sphere, cylinder, and so on. Below that, we've got the name and color section, where we can rename our object or change its color to make it easier to identify in the scene. Basically, whenever we want to create something in our scene, from simple shapes to more complex models, this is where it all starts. Now, in this part, you will see that this window that we are opening has several items, each of which, when clicked, provides us with various options and commands for advanced designs, which I will explain in the next tutorial while designing. So now let's move on to the screen, the scene we want to model in. The sum of these four is called viewport layout, and each of these four scenes is called viewport, and now I want to talk about its capabilities. See, each of these viewports has a cube in the top corner, which you can use to change the viewing angle and the scene. Now this part shows the front view. This part shows the top view. This view is useful when we want to check a project from the plan. This part shows the view from the sides. Of course, each of these parts can be changed and viewed from a different angle. Now look here. In this section, When I click on this option, it opens a window for me, where I can change the view and angle to the left, right, up, and down with the features it provides. Just click on them. Now let's go to the middle section that says Standard. This option determines the type of display system or display driver we have. In simpler terms, it determines how Max will display the scene graphics to us. Well, in this section, which shows the volume display modes, default shading normal and balance mode. Wireframe only model lines, shaded simpler than the default mode. Realistic display with light and materials. Clear consistent colors display without materials to focus on the form. Now, let me try it out for you in different modes with our own logos so you can fully understand how it works. Guys, we have this capability in all our software to display volumes in any way we want. I will definitely explain it in other software tutorials such as AutoCAD or Revit and all other software. If you are satisfied with our tutorial, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on other tutorials. Now, this part at the bottom of the page, guys, this part shows the number and type of viewport arrangement. Let me do it for you so you can understand. It depends on your taste as to what mode you want to work on. I personally prefer the default software mode, which has 4 of them and they are all the same size. And finally, if you want to delete the modes you created, just right-click on the bar and select the last option, Delete tab, and let me tell you that the easiest way to enter any of these viewports is to press the shortcut keys Alt and W, that is, click on any of them and press Alt and W to enter that view. To return, you have to press the same shortcut key again. Look, I'll do it now. By the way, guys, let me explain. This bar above, called the Graphite Modeling Tools toolbar, is the heart of modeling in 3ds Max, modeling for precise modeling, freeform for soft and organic modeling, selection for professional selection of model components, object paint for painting and distributing objects, populate for adding population to the scene. If you learn this section well, you are almost halfway through working with Max. We have a lot to do with it. The File menu in 3ds Max is where all the project management tasks are done, such as creating, opening, saving, and exporting files. New creates a new project. Open opens previous files. Save and save as saves the file or saves it with a new name. Import imports models from other software such as .obj or .fbx. Export selected exports the selected project or objects. Merge imports scenes or models from another file into the current project. Replace replaces a model with another without changing its location. Archive compresses the entire project with textures into a compressed file for backup or transfer. Exit exits the program. The Edit menu is for editing our objects. From here we can do things like copy, delete, select all, move, rotate, scale, or change the properties of objects. In short, everything related to controlling and editing models is here. The Tools menu is full of helpful tools that make our work easier and more precise. Like aligning models with align, creating duplicates with array, mirroring with mirror, or measuring distances. Group is for grouping volumes. The View menu is used to control the viewport and scene windows. That is, everything related to the viewing angle, camera, and display settings. Viewport configuration adjusts the quality, shadows, and display style of the viewport. Create camera, set view, create or change the view to a camera. Show grid, save frame, statistics show the grid, image safety lines, and frame information. Zoom, pan, orbit tools for moving and zooming in the scene. The Create menu is used to create new objects and elements in the scene. That is, anything you want to create, from a simple model to lights and cameras, is created here. Geometry create 3D models, boxes, spheres, cylinders, and ready-made models. Shapes create 2D lines and shapes line, circle, rectangle, etc. Lights add lights to the scene. Cameras create a camera for a specific view or render. Helpers such as measurement points and motion control. Space warps physical effects such as wind, waves or gravity. Systems create complex systems such as bones or the sun system. The Modify menu is for reshaping and editing models. Modifiers are tools that affect the model, such as bending, twisting, or straightening. In short, any changes you want to make to the model can be done from here. The Animation menu is for creating and controlling movements. With it, we can set keyframes, set the movement path, and create precise animations. In short, anything that makes our models move is done from this section. The Graph Editor section is for more precise control of animations. In the Curve Editor, we can view and adjust the motion curves to make our motion smoother and more natural, and with the Dope Sheet, we can more easily manage the timing of keyframes. The Rendering section is where our 3D scene is converted into an image or video. Here we can adjust the quality, lighting, materials, and effects to make the final output look professional and realistic. The Customize menu is used to personalize the 3ds Max environment. We can change the shortcuts, menus, toolbars, and most importantly, the units of measurement, and even the color and display of windows to our liking to make working easier. Scripting allows you to automate repetitive tasks and processes or create new tools. This means that instead of doing everything manually, you can do it with a quick script. Arnold is an advanced, professional rendering engine like V-Ray that is used inside 3ds Max to capture high-quality, realistic images. This means that anything you create, models, lighting, materials, can be rendered with Arnold to look like reality. Substance is a professional system for advanced materials and textures in 3ds Max. This means you can create realistic materials like metal, wood, stone, or cloth and apply them to models without having to manually texture them yourself. This Phoenix section is also a script that I installed. It is used to animate some things that we will cover in the professional training course. Civil View option for civil projects. With it we can import road and route data from Civil 3D, place cars and signs, or create real routes. In short, this section is for simulating and displaying infrastructure projects. This part is also for animating characters, which I installed as a script. I will explain it in professional tutorials. The Help menu is for tutorials and guidance. If you get stuck somewhere in Max or want to know what a tool does, you can access the official manual or tutorials from here. Okay, now you guys are almost familiar with the Max environment, but to get a better understanding, we need to start slowly and work with the tools. In the next parts, we will develop the exercises into a project that is understandable to you. Be sure to follow us. Good luck.